Last night, chosen one, something unfolded in the unseen realms that was so staggering, so breathtaking, so saturated with glory and divine authority that even the mightiest beings of heaven paused in reverent silence, their wings folded, their voices hushed, their gaze fixed on a single moment, crafted by the Ancient of Days himself. And you have no idea yet how deeply it affects your entire destiny. Because while your physical body lay still in peaceful rest, your spirit was summoned into a dimension where timelessness rules, where light speaks, where the foundations of creation tremble at the whisper of God's voice. And in that realm, something with your name on it was opened, examined, judged, defended, restored, elevated, and released with a force so extraordinary that the ripples from that verdict are already beginning to brush against your natural life, even if your eyes haven't caught up to the spiritual truth yet. And while all this was happening, the archangels stood in absolute awe, not because darkness tried to touch you, but because heaven watched what God decreed about you. And when God speaks, nothing in existence has the authority to contradict him. For Scripture says, "For the word of the Lord is right and true. He is faithful in all he does." Psalm 33:4. And last night that faithfulness erupted like a blazing river across the courts of eternity, flowing directly into the storyline of your life. Now listen carefully, chosen one, because this isn't metaphorical language. This isn't poetic exaggeration. This isn't symbolic imagination meant to make you feel inspired. This is what actually took place in the unshakable dimension, where decisions about nations, destinies, seasons, and spiritual inheritances are made. Heaven convened a council, and your name, not someone else's, not a group, not a generation, but your name was called forward, and when it echoed through the vaulted chambers of eternity, even the pillars carved with ancient fire resonated like living thunder. For when God calls a name, everything that name carries is summoned with it. Your history, your battles, your tears, your prayers, your sacrifices, your quiet endurance, your silent heartbreaks, your resilience, your obedience, even when weary, your faith even when trembling, your yes whispered through brokenness, your refusal to bow to the darkness that tried to suffocate you. And all of it rose like incense before the throne, fulfilling the scripture that says, "Let my prayer be set before you as incense, the lifting up of my hands as the evening sacrifice." Psalm 141:2. And as that incense filled the holy atmosphere, angels assigned to your life stepped forward holding scrolls that contained records of every moment you held onto God, despite the weight crushing your chest, despite the loneliness tormenting your nights, despite the betrayal that tore through your heart like an unseen blade, despite the delays that made you think heaven was silent. And as they read each line, the courtroom shifted, because heaven never overlooks what earth ignores. And the archangels marveled, not because your struggle was unusual, but because your endurance was extraordinary. And then, chosen one, the unexpected occurred. God raised his hand, and time itself bowed, and with a voice that carried the weight of universes, he declared that your season of testing had reached its completion, fulfilling the truth found in Scripture. "The Lord will perfect that which concerneth me." Psalm 138:8. And when that decree left his mouth, the entire courtroom erupted in living light, so bright that even the seraphim covered their faces. And a divine shift, yes, a real one, not imagined, not symbolic, not emotional, but an actual shift was released into the fabric of your destiny. And while your sleeping body remained unaware, your spirit recognized the resonance of heaven's announcement. And that's why you woke up with that strange pull in your chest. That sense that something invisible had changed. That subtle awareness that something ancient was stirring around you. Because what was decided last night has already begun to shape the path beneath your feet, whether you consciously understand it or not. And listen closely now, because this is where the archangels reacted with shock. When your scroll was placed on the throne's platform, it illuminated with a radiance that was not present the last time heaven examined your case. Because every season of affliction, every tear, every injustice you endured in silence, every betrayal you absorbed without retaliation, every pain you surrendered to God instead of letting bitterness claim you, it had all accumulated weight in the spiritual realm, and the scripture stands true. Those who sow in tears shall reap in joy. Psalm 126:5. And heaven saw that your tears had matured into divine evidence, undeniable, unalterable, unshakable evidence that your suffering was not wasted but had become legal currency in the courts of the Almighty. Then, from the right side of the courtroom, a shadow trembled. Not darkness, but the remnant of accusations that had followed your name for years. Words spoken against you, intentions rooted in envy, manipulations birthed in secret, curses whispered behind your back, limitations set by those who feared your calling. And as they slithered forward, trying to attach themselves to your scroll, Michael stepped out, mighty and fierce, his armor blazing with the fire of God's holiness, fulfilling what Scripture says. For he shall give his angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. Psalm 91:11. And with a voice like a war drum cracking the horizon, he thundered, "This far and no further." And at that command, every chain of accusation shattered, every lingering residue of spiritual sabotage disintegrated, every demonic claim against your destiny evaporated like smoke fleeing the wind. And heaven roared in agreement, for the Most High had spoken, and his judgment had been rendered. And chosen one, you need to understand something. When God issues a verdict, it is not negotiable, it is not reversible, it is not subject to earthly opinion, and no human being, no spiritual force, no generational pattern, no hidden enemy, no secret opposition can override what the Almighty has sealed. For Scripture declares, "I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted." Job 42:2. And last night God released a purpose over you that hell cannot interrupt and heaven will not delay. And then the most astonishing part unfolded. Gabriel, radiant like the first dawn after creation, approached the throne with a scroll newly written by the hand of God. And when it unrolled, the courtroom gasped, because the plans on that scroll were not the same ones you were walking in yesterday. No, chosen one. This was something fresh, something accelerated, something redeemed, something restored, something multiplied, something resurrected, something heaven had been waiting to reveal at the exact second your spirit reached the maturity required to carry it. Because God does nothing prematurely, nothing half-formed, nothing unprepared, and Scripture proves it. He has made everything beautiful in its time. Ecclesiastes 3:11. And your time, yes, your time was declared last night. When Gabriel raised the scroll, new assignments poured out, new favor poured out, new authority poured out, new protection poured out, new restoration poured out, new elevation poured out, and the angels began preparing to deliver what had been withheld, not because you were unworthy, but because the appointed hour had not yet come, but now it has. Chosen one, now it has. For scripture says, "For the vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come, it will not tarry." Habakkuk 2:3. And heaven announced that your vision, your breakthrough, your release, your restoration, your recompense is no longer tarrying. It is in motion, and this is only the beginning. And as the echoes of Gabriel's proclamation rippled through the halls of eternity, chosen one, something happened that even the watchers, ancient beings who have observed centuries unfold like seconds, leaned forward to witness. Because when the scroll containing your renewed destiny was lifted into view, a surge of holy fire encircled it. Not a destructive fire, but a purifying, ascending blaze that wrapped around your name like a crown, crafted from light. And as the flames spiraled upward, they revealed layers of purpose that had been concealed. Not because heaven was hiding anything from you, but because certain seasons in your life had not yet matured to the point where you could fully carry the weight of what God had prepared. And Scripture affirms this mystery. It is the glory of God to conceal a matter, but the glory of kings to search it out. Proverbs 25:2, meaning that even the hidden things about your destiny were reserved for an appointed unveiling. And last night, chosen one, that unveiling began. Not slowly, not quietly, not partially, but with a force that made the heavens tremble in recognition of the shift that had taken place within you. And at that moment, as the fire wrapped the scroll, the throne room brightened with a radiance so overwhelming that even the creatures covered in eyes, who see every spectrum of divine glory, paused their eternal worship to watch what God was doing for you. And the Ancient of Days himself leaned forward, gazing at the arc of your story with a depth of love that cannot be articulated by human tongues. A love so fierce that it rewrites endings, rebuilds ruins, restores years, and overturns verdicts spoken by men. And in that love, the Father extended his hand toward your scroll. And when his fingertips touched the edge of it, creation responded like thunder rolling across galaxies, because when God touches something, it cannot remain in its previous state. It transforms, it ascends, it awakens, it is set apart for a higher purpose. And Scripture confirms this truth. The blessing of the Lord makes rich, and he adds no sorrow with it. Proverbs 10:22. And the blessing released last night over your life carries no sorrow, no residue of shame, no memory of defeat, no weight of past battles, only divine intention, only heavenly conviction, only the signature of God's will, sealed with fire. And when he lifted the scroll into the air, angels formed a circle around it, each one holding a fragment of your story, and they began to speak in unison. Not in earthly languages, not in tongues known to humanity, but in a resonance that sounded like wind, singing through mountains and oceans, roaring with revelation. And their unified voice declared the renewal of your spiritual authority, the restoration of what was stolen, the return of what was delayed, the elevation of what was suppressed, and the resurrection of what was pronounced dead. And Scripture echoes this miracle. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall ye not know it? Isaiah 43:19. And chosen one, last night the new thing didn't just begin, it was ignited like a comet bursting from the heart of heaven. And its trajectory is aimed directly at your life, your home, your purpose, your calling, your relationships, your finances, your influence, your spiritual capacity, and your future legacy. But then, something unexpected happened, something so profound that even the seraphim, who dwell in perpetual worship, shifted their wings in astonishment. A sealed chamber in the throne room opened, a chamber that is only unlocked in rare moments across the span of eternity. And from this chamber emerged a book, ancient yet alive, glowing with an inner light that pulsed like a heartbeat. And as it approached the throne, the air thickened with a reverence so deep it felt like time held its breath. And when the book reached the platform, God spoke, "It is time." And the archangels bowed their heads, for they recognized the significance of this moment, because within that ancient book are the hidden blueprints of destinies chosen for extraordinary roles. Destinies preserved for individuals who have endured affliction without surrendering to darkness. Destinies assigned to those who, like Joseph, like David, like Esther, like Daniel, stood in the tension between persecution and promise, and remained faithful. And when the book opened, a golden wind swept across the courtroom, revealing that your name was inscribed within it, not recently, not after your struggles, not after your victories, but from the beginning. For Scripture says, "Before I formed thee in the belly, I knew thee." Jeremiah chapter 1:5. And last night, heaven revealed what God has always known about you, that your calling is unshakable, your identity is unalterable, your purpose is unstoppable, your destiny is irreversible, and your future is secured under divine authorship. And suddenly, as the book lay open, the whispers of your past struggles began to surface. Not accusations, but memories carried by the angels who had walked with you through storms you never told anyone about. Nights when your tears soaked the pillow,